Harimi, harimi, al tirai, harimi, al tirai. Imri le'arei Yehuda, hinei Elokeichem. Harimi, harimi, al tirai.
Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabbi and Yonah. We are on Mishnah 16, chapter 1, Mishnah 16. Rabbi Gamliel says, Aseh lecha rav, make for yourself a rabbi, v'histalek min hasafek, and go out from doubt. The rabbi will help you clarify doubts. V'al tarbe la'aser amados, and don't give extra meiser by estimating. When you give meiser, when you give a tithe, you should count it exactly. You shouldn't estimate, even if you're giving more. And we'll see why that is, and we'll see what the first part of the Mishnah has to do with the second part of the Mishnah. Says Rabeinu Yonah, Rotzalomer, what does it mean to make for yourself a rabbi that will help you get out of doubt? Sheikabel chaver l'rav, you should get a friend who can be your rabbi. Even though he might not know more than you, so it's important to have a rabbi, even if you know more than this person. So that you shouldn't have doubts. How so? Sometimes you'll have a very wise person, and when it comes to a halachic question, he won't know what to do. He's not sure what the halacha is. What should he do if he's not sure if something is prohibited or permitted? So if he permits it and he's not sure, maybe it's really forbidden. Will cause other people to sin. He'll cause a sin. So why don't you just say, well, let him be stringent? He's not sure, so maybe he should be stringent. Maybe he will cause a loss of money. Right? Let's say somebody comes to you at they're catering an affair, and they ask you a kashrus question. Maybe they just made all of the food at the affair not kosher, and it's going to cost them thousands of dollars. So in that case, you can't just say, well, I'm not really sure, you should be stringent. You're going to cost them thousands of dollars. The Torah is chas. The Torah doesn't want us to have an undue loss of money. So therefore, you should have a rabbi that you can ask these questions to, even if and you go with what he says. Right? When you ask your friend a question and you're not sure about it, but he's sure about it, you rely on him, even if he's permitting it. Even if he's not as wise as you. And the Gaonim would say this also. Let's say you have a halachic question. One person is unsure of the answer, and one person is sure. Then we follow the one who's sure. Even if the person who is sure about it is a student, and the one who is unsure is the rabbi, we go with the student over the rabbi. So the Mishnah here is saying is that a person should have a rabbi, even if he is not as wise as you. You should have him as a rabbi. The reason is because sometimes you may be doubtful about a halachic issue, and you could ask him, and there could be certain times when you're not sure about it, and he will be sure about it. Perhaps even though he's not as wise as you, perhaps there's an area of halacha that he learned more in depth, or he learned better, and he knows that area better, and you're not sure, so you follow him. Okay, then the end of the Mishnah says, "V'al tarbe la'aser amados." Don't just, when you have to give a tithe, don't just eye it up, but you should do it exactly. There's different ways there's certain things that you have to measure, whether it's weight, or the number. Because what's going to happen if you don't do it exactly is that your fruit will be okay, but the meiser is going to be messed up. How so? Okay, let's say you want to give meiser, you want to give a tithe, and you want to give a lot. So usually meiser you give 10%. But here, when you give more than 10%, it's going to be tevel. Meaning, tevel is food where tithes haven't been taken off of it yet. So in Israel, when you take off tithes, if you have food that tithes hasn't been taken off, it's called tevel and it's forbidden. So here, when you give more than 10% and you didn't do it exactly, the amount of meiser in addition to the required 10% will be considered tevel, will be forbidden to eat. She'ena moser, because technically it's not doesn't have meiser taken off. So until you specifically look at it to take off meiser, he didn't have in mind to specifically take off meiser. And it will mess up the meiser. Now, what does this have to do with the first part of the Mishnah about getting a rabbi to clarify questions? And this is a parable, a metaphor, me'inyan hasvara, about logic. How so? A person shouldn't just, when you're coming to thinking about something in a logical conclusion, you shouldn't just kind of like guess it and say, oh, it seems to be like this, without thinking it through. A person should think something through till its end point. You shouldn't just say, oh yeah, seems like this is a good idea. And all of a person's logical conclusions that he makes, they're not all the same. How so? Sometimes you could have a decision, or it sounds like here he's talking about a halachic decision, but you can have a decision where you think it through, and both options are good options. You just feel that option A is better than option B. Now, even though you picked option A, you could understand how another chacham, another wise person, could pick option B, because really they are both valid points, or both valid options. You just feel that option A is better, but you could totally understand how someone could pick option B. Certain decisions are like that. Now there are certain logical things. Some logical conclusions are just obvious, and it could be a novel insight that a person has, and it's obvious to him, and he sees there's no other interpretation. And no one else should argue about Maven Yavin. And that's why this Mishnah here speaks about getting a rabbi to go out from doubt, because it's talking about svara. When you have to think about something, when you have to decide a halachic issue, you think of the svara, you think of the logic behind it. So, the beginning of the Mishnah talks about a person should get a rabbi to help him decide things that he's not sure about when it comes to halacha, svara, logical conclusion when it comes to a halachic debate. And the end of the Mishnah is telling us how to do that it shouldn't be, when a person is thinking of logical svaras, a logical conclusion, it shouldn't just be done in a haphazard way, but it should be done very deliberately, and it should, to its end point, to think things through. And there are different types of logical conclusions. Sometimes you could have A and B, and you just feel A is better, but you can understand someone who goes with B. And then you could have other times when it's obvious that something is the right approach, and anything else is incorrect. Okay, we're going to finish there for today. Wishing everyone a beautiful day.